handsome guys in this entire lobby. Let me tell you that. Damn, that guy looks good. But here is Petrica Road as well, joining us, and this is their first ever weekly final. They don't have much money on the board here, Poro. Likewise, Meta, no money on the board. One of their first weekly finals as well.
Nothing. And I mean, that's the other part that I think makes this lobby so exciting, right? Is that we have these new coming wild cards that we don't really know how they're going to perform. Like, look, Meta has absolutely dominated the reseeding tournaments every single week. Now, is that a big result of survival tournament, just having that super settings back? I don't know. We'll see what Meta can bring in together. And then you also have that additional wild card factor of DA and Petrichor Road. You know, it's I don't know what to expect out of those teams. I really don't.
Yeah, some other big names going to be entering the lobby as well. I want to see what Multi-Circle Gaming can put up alongside Infantry. There's too many names to talk about, but it's time. We are going to the desert to start things off. A huge thank you to Toomey, Perrier, Zowie, and especially Intel for joining us here at the PGI.s. We got experimental before with the music. It's time to get experimental now as we get into Week 4 final. It is the top 16, $150,000 for first place.
Thank you very much, Kalaris. Yes, indeed, the mad scientist, the paper thin, and Toby coming at you once again for the PGI.s Week 4 Finals. Guys, PGI.s presented by Intel, where the gaming happens. And welcome aboard to Miramar as we get ready to kick this off. 10 games, Toby, to see who's going to come away with that top prize of $150,000 plus the crowdfunding money.
Yep, 10 games to see who's gonna win, and for 3 teams, the first chance to get on board, you could say. Meta, Petrichor, and DA haven't had the pleasure of being in the weekly finals up until now, so my eyes are gonna be peeled and seeing how they will go out and perform come this tournament. It's gonna be good fun to watch, and also there are some teams that I'm kind of curious to see where it's gonna drop. We'll see now. Liquid, they are jumping out late. Maybe they'll take over Faces Montenuevo, and seems to me like that's gonna be the case. No wonder why they wouldn't do that. They're still close enough to Picado to make similar rotation paths from where they normally would go, and yeah, everything should be good and dandy for them. In the meantime, though, as I say that, Meta, Ragnar, that's not your vehicle to take, is it? I guess I got away with it.
He took it anyway. May not have been, but yeah, he's going to run away with it, and Meta's going to kind of split out to the west and the north of El Azahar there in a 2-2 split. So quite an interesting start for the team the first time they're in here. And hey, that circle
it's finals.
Right up, yeah, right up in their wheelhouse there, up in the north. So that's looking pretty nice to start here for Meta and Peril. Like you mentioned, 2 of the teams that are along for the ride first time around. I mean, that is a rough circle. I mean, that's about as north as you could get off that plane path. So that is going to be quite interesting. Gen.g way over on the opposite side, but heading a little bit northerly at least. Nobody's quite into El Pozo, but for Gen.g, it's time to grab vehicles, loot along the road, and then see how they're going to go from there. And this is quite interesting, for this team. They've qualified for the weekly finals pretty quickly. Both, the last couple times, Toby. They seem to have a really good vibe on how to get it done.
Yeah, it's been a good showing for sure. This circle, I mean, it's a final circle, isn't it? Can we call it that? A final circle. This will be the This will be the canvas for what's to come, and it will only get more chaotic from here. If that's the case, I'm all for it. I know you will be as well. I mean, with the power within both of us, I'm sure we can hopefully go out and get some pretty fun and weird circles coming our way. And first one for sure, an interesting one, to say the very least. Many teams have to rotate up towards the northeast, and for the teams already there, I mean, right now it's a Meta. First time they get to weekly finals, they have one thrown straight in their face, and we'll see now if they can make the most of it. I mean, they have 2 players down towards the south, Sills and Sparking, and Wicked and Ragnar up towards the center of the circle right now. They have, well, all the space in the world to take the compounds that they want to. So we'll see if they get to capitalize on that, or if shifts will go to the very edges and force them to rotate with it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do for sure. They definitely, early on, they'll split out a bit, and they'll kind of bide their time, see what they can, keep a hold of. and then try to work their way together as time goes on, as a lot of teams do, of course. But yeah, for them, definitely very curious. It seems like they're really starting to figure it out as time goes on. Their communication clearly getting better. And if you talk to any, PUBG player or pro, communication is oftentimes one of those things that makes the difference between a good and a great team. So for for Meta to be able to compete still at this level, bringing in Wicked and all changing the language that they're talking in is highly impressive.
Yeah, and it's one of the regions, right? I mean, LATAM is one of the regions that have for a very long time been, I mean, just very, very locally communicative. Every time when we've had, like, it's just not the region, and I don't mean to sound rude to anyone, where English is a first language. So forcing teams to, for some players, maybe not learn English, because they do speak some, but getting used to not only trying to communicate in English, but do it in game where there's so much info that has to come across incredibly quickly. I'm sure over the course of this tournament alone, where the meta players has had Wicked on board, their English has all improved massively.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure it's kind of, trial by fire there. You have to get better fast, or else you're just going to fall apart. And for Meta, all the credit in the world has to go to them for their ability to step up and do really well in this. Gen.g looting a bit around the crater fields with Esther, the rest of them on the road heading through La Cobreria. ENCE, here again, it seems a little interesting. We haven't talked much about ENCE. They qualified pretty early on as well, and they're always seem to be around, Toby. Honestly, I like the way ENCE plays, but when it comes, I think their ability to get into the weekly survival, like their style benefits that quite well. But in the point gathering round, sometimes things can get a little bit tricky for them, as there are a lot of teams that are very aggressive when it comes to the our normal super settings points.
And that's the thing, right? Because ENCE, I think they're not flow, but they fit well with having other teams be the aggressors, because that gives space for ENCE to be the more passive ones, especially in the early game. Saying that, here's Tixu shooting at people at the 6 minute mark from a shack, but also Wicked getting himself first kill of the game. Two teams who got their first presence. One will be happy with a kill, the other one, Mill, not so much. Went for a vehicle, not getting one, and Mao now taken down as well. Something's going on up here towards the north. Petrichor, they had a good spot in the circle, but they're starting to fall apart now. 2 down early. Well, Ragnar finds 1-1. They're dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, this is just 2 members of Meta up on their own, and they are really taking it to Petrichor Road right now. And in fact, Wicked looks to be driving out towards Mamu. They haven't seen any other members of Pero there yet, so they're going to see if they can get there to try to flush that. But meantime, it is Aches left, who has decided to try in, so that's going to send Wicked off. They're not going to overcommit to try to just get that point, and I think that at that point, the wise decision there for the Korean player filling in for Meta. Now, Ragnar seeing if he can maybe find another one, and Wicked just driving around, going to grab a crate, and then head on back to regroup with his teammate.
Welcome to the weekly finals. There you go. There's your first kill, and with that, a crate. That's also their sitting center circle. I mean, that's the way you want to be introduced to the weekly finals, right? If everyone could have it go that way, then I'm sure that you're very pleased with it. Let's see this.
Oh, no way. Oh, my God.
on fire. He's feeling it. I like it. I like it. More of that right now. More of that indeed. Let's see Anonix. Oh, there's a Tianba player coming through the city. Did he hear that? Oh, yes, he just exactly heard it. I thought maybe the audio was going to muffle it up, but he's going back inside the building, giving himself some cover. One shot connected. Not a whole lot with it. Ming's allowed to drive through, but the remaining Tianba players are coming from the outside. Now they're going to have to turn around. You can see Liquid players over there as well, so a little bit of a hurdle, a little bit of a roadblock inside La Copraria will force the remaining Tianba players, and I would assume Liquid players, to wrap around the city.
Well, this is kind of a secondary loot spot for Gen.g. They looted a bit on the road in between Valle del Mar and El Pozo, and then they got here and looted up a bit more, and they were probably planning on eating some blue. Maybe there'd be one team that came through, but 2 is going to be potentially a bit tricky. PO watches Mings, not able to connect with that spray just yet. Mings is going to try to drive around. He's got a few hills just in. Oh my goodness, the headshot comes through. Mings gonna get taken out. and I don't know that there's anything Tianba can do to help him.
Nope, double headshot connected. That's brutal. That is. It feels bad for Minx, right? It's one of those where you go, oh, great, he stopped shooting, and then you go, great, he didn't hit me with any of the barrel spray bullets. I should be safe. And then you see the first headshot connect, and you don't even have time to react to it before the second one's there as well. Great tax there from Pion to get himself the first kill for gen.g. Great thing. But just to finish up the thought, if we go back a little to ENCE, and it kind of sits with other teams as well because of the way that the weekly survival works. When you're a more passive team in general, you rely on other teams to be the aggressors to grant you the space that you want on the edge of the circle. But because we then force teams to play more passive in the weekly survival format, going back to ENCE here, many of the teams that usually play aggressive, your FaZe Clan, your other teams like that, we've seen they just play passive. They sit and wait for the circles, and understandably so, because, I mean, again, you don't need to get kills, you just have to get wins. When more teams start doing what you do, it becomes more tricky to be the one doing that, you know? So I think that's, I mean, to go with what you were saying, where sometimes during the weekly survivals, they've looked a little off. Not that I think it's a lot. I think ENCE has been one of the more consistent teams in this tournament so far in terms of how they've been playing. But just weekly survival, I can see what you're saying, and I think that's got to do with ENCE not being not only, but one of the few passive teams, but everyone trying to do that. And that's maybe making their plans of approach or their plans of play a little more hard to do.
Yeah, if everybody's doing the same thing, it can make it a little tricky, but they do it extremely well, and that's why, you're kind of saying, they do tend to find ways in, for sure. And for gen.g, they're going to be finding their way in around Torre Ahumada, but there is a lot of blue and a lot of damage that they've been taking. Speaking of another team that likes to kind of play it a bit safe, that's Day Trade, is joining us yet again. Just doing a fantastic job getting those wins during the weekly survival, and you guys at home doing a fantastic job helping us out with this event, helping the players out, getting some extra money in their pockets, 5.6 million. Oh, James. Oh, noes. I'm sorry, James, but yeah, you drove at Roth, and Roth probably landed some pretty nice shots, and there you go. Oh, Senya, you can't drive into, oh boy. He goes down the hill, and the rest of Navi is above him, and Longskirt just how far away is that? I mean, Longskirt got that knock.
We talk about drive-by meta. This is the opposite. This is the kryptonite. Everyone is popping people out of vehicles today. We've only seen people getting knocked in vehicles. Maybe we'll see something else now. Yep, there you go, PU again with the double headshot. Vanotti got nothing he can do. Instantly down on his knees he goes and flushed immediately after. PU finds kill number 2, and I know this circle is tricky. A lot of people had to rotate far, but losing 5 players this early on only on rotation kills, that's unusual.
It is quite unusual, but it is a hard shifted circle, and sometimes we see hard shifted circles be relatively quiet, and today that's not the case. A lot of teams kind of having that same idea to want to go around that northern road. It is quite popular because it's fast, and typically a lot of teams don't camp around it very often, but let's see this shot from Roth. I am just very curious.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Still, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's just fantastic shooting from him. Everybody's come to play today, Toby. They are fired up. I tell you what, that opening band we had must have really got him going. I was really vibing to that, but I kind of know a little bit more about them.
I agree with you completely, and while I don't know anything about the band, and for sure don't know anything about what they were singing about, it did seem to me, and I am by no means a knower of Korean music, but it did seem more local, and I like that. I like that about it, that the country representing the tournament goes out and says, okay, we know we have some bands that might be globally super famous, and we could just bring them on and play songs that you all know, but this seemed, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, seemed to me like a more local band that had a little more of a local vibe to it than the more global style music, and I thought that was great.
Yeah, they're called Lee Nalchi, Leenalchi, and they're kind of they combine like traditional Korean singing with kind of more of like an indie kind of, I don't know, hipster is not the right word, but or maybe it is, but that kind of like vibe with it. So personally, I find them quite interesting, and yeah, I like that they're more of a actual Korea flavor. They're not, K-pop's great. Don't get me wrong. That's wonderful stuff. But I really appreciate putting a band like that on the center stage there, and hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you didn't, well, that's okay too. But it's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. It is quite a unique singing style for sure, but it is very definitely traditional based.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think it's great. It's one of those, you know what? You know that our country can deliver this, but we can also do that. I mean, I think it's great. Space for everyone to go out and show. And also with this circle, there is, well, in theory, space for everyone if they stand side by side, but in terms of playable terrain where you want to go, there's really not a whole lot of that space. So we'll see. Circle does go down towards the south. Next circle will shift away from some of these mountains, so I'm assuming to see a north side shift with the next to come. And while we've already lost 5 players, that just doesn't change a whole lot in terms of where you can go here. The mountains, the high ground positions are already under control for the most part. There is one compound open on the north side of the South Mountain. Other than that, there's a lot of lowland plateaus, low fields that you just cannot utilize as long as those hills are still in. The vehicles will get popped. You have prone down, and even with that, you can be seen. gen.g has eyes on long now. Petrichor, tough time today already, and they're going to lose one at least. gen.g is going to find the Nux, going to throw the nade forward, try and see if he can get the flush with it. You can see the Steel's trying to come in from the side. Will he get to the confirm? No! He goes down, but Adder, fortunately, this is a teammate, gets the flush and in, and here comes Oath. Maybe you want to get away from this one now, gen.g.
Yeah, he's got to drive pretty quick. Adder should be on the cover fire position, indeed. Going to be popping a few shots with his mini, but he doesn't like it too much either. He doesn't want to expose himself too long to Oath's sightlines, so he's going to send himself back over towards the other side of that hill with the rest of his team. Starlord out in front, so a 1-3 split for T1. Ents trying to rotate north around infantry, and Navi successfully able to find this small shack compound and trying to keep their vehicles somewhat safe. Zenith out to the north of them, but Zenith outside of this next circle. So it's Zenith's turn to get in their vehicles and try to make some kind of rotation happen. And like you mentioned, there's not a lot going on the inside of this circle because, yeah, there's a lot of really tall mountains to the outside of Cruz de Valle and Tierra Blanca. And so that makes things a little bit tricky, but Snaker's going to find Mamu and Petrichor Road to start out their first game, having a lot of trouble. Aches left, trying to come up over the hill, seeing if he can get something done. Takes a whole bunch of damage in return, and he does end up getting taken down by the grenade for Pack Caps. Out go Pero.
Yeah, Petrichor out early. Unfortunate start today for them. But of course, still 9 games to play, and we know they can bring out a win in any game played. So we'll have to see what's going to happen with that. Sonics, in the meantime, once again, NA on NA action. They take the fight to Zenith. We have already lost H-Win. There are knocks on the Zenith side of things as well. Roth has gone down. They are trying to commit to the rest. Nate's thrown over, but look towards the east. Ends are starting to creep on in. Rustamar, you can see him on your minimap there, is closing forward with more players in the other vicinity. Ooh, we shift to the west. This is a brutal one. Hilltop in the center. Cruz del Valle is up for grabs as well, and this fight continues with people now constantly starting to fall down to blue.
Yeah, gen.g, for all their hard work to get a couple points early on, has been out in the blue for some time. Sonic's really getting torn apart here. Tickleton flushed and knocked out. Only kickstart knocked for Zenith. This is going to be Shinboy swinging around trying to see if he can find whoever's in here, but no mime. It's actually going to get Poonage. Finally, Shinboy able to just spray through the smoke and get that, but here comes Rustenmar and Ents. Roth is going to be shot and taken down, and you can see Zenith and Sonics for all this hard work they put into this fight, and nobody's gonna come out of this with anything worth talking about. As Shinboy, last one alive for the squad from NA.
Yep, Shinboy was so eager to flush his opponents that he accidentally also flushed Poonage. That's that's unfortunate, but battles are a tough one, and unfortunately, the casualties will fall on both sides. That one even more unfortunate, of course, after the game or after the fight was technically already over. Boliang will do a little bit of damage towards Navi. Will manage to get away there. Orange and tapped down to low HP, but do manage to survive. Circle, as we said, over towards the west we headed, and it's just tricky. For everyone out towards the east, you can see Oath right now. They'll have to go through T1 first, but they also have to, go for everything on the inside of it, and there's just, it's so open. You can see this field they have to traverse through. It's going to be incredibly hard for them to get on the inside of this circle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a real challenge. And there's Starlord, as I mentioned earlier, out on the 1 position for T1. and going to be watching Oath, who is now going to have to make a send. There's no choice. Circle's here. It's time to go. In the vehicles they load, and that's an open top Murado to make everything worse. Not ideal. For sure, you'd rather have the closed top one, definitely. But Star-Lord actually moves out away from this position, so doesn't want to be sitting there, doesn't want to be getting caught in one of those drive-bys that we do see. Gen.g lost Esther to the blue earlier on, just didn't have enough health and other things, because Gen.g just kind of got caught up in Cobreria trying to loot it, and too many teams were rotating through it. Dengche sees a pretty good angle on it to Relo. Relo pops out, that sends Dengche back around the corner, isn't able to find another shot just yet, so Relo at half damage.
This is absurdly terrible timing too. Starlord just ran over Adder, but Fleef, that's the same thing we saw them do in the game that got them through here to the weekly finals, where Starlord in the very end of it ran over a teammate. They did end up winning anyway, but that is just not good timing. Meta now in the meantime taking the fight to Infantry. That's a tall order team to go up against here. We'll see if they can succeed up close. Xiao Yang goes down instantly. Ragnar finds one Silson, finds the other Silson, then goes down and return with sparking out as well. They should have just 2 left alive. Yes, Wicked and Ragnar trying to bounce, trying to get inside the circle. It is phase 4. It is starting to hurt, and now T1 taking the fight to Oath as well after the rest came back up.
Yeah, they're looking for the last member of Oath here. Adder going to be peeking out over that hill. Circle just continues to head towards that Cruz de Valle Church way up on the hill, so that's going to be an interesting one to finish this out. Wicked trying to win this battle against Infantry. Nope, it's going to be knocked by 9. Ragnar able to get 1, but Longsker on the hunt, tries to come over, doesn't need to get there. It's going to be bullying in time to finish the job. Team Liquid trying to third party this fight a bit, but Ibiza from the back. Rustenmar once again finding a good angle to get into another team's fight here and finds himself another knock.
Yeah, Rustenmar has kind of been doing a lone survivor thing where he's a little isolated from the teammates, but finding good angles, finding good ways to approach for the rest of the guys to make their way forward towards the circle. I kind of like it. And T1, fortunately for them, they get the elimination onto Oath. I mean, as much as I like a good disengage, because they can be more difficult sometimes than just saying, you know what, let's just take the fight. You can also only do it for so long, and I saw T1 kind of keep on backing off and making a space for Oath, and they were getting closer and closer to Gen.g. I was thinking, oh no, this might go bad. Should they back off for too long, they might be running into other opponents and third party themselves, but fortunately they did manage to stop there, put on the brakes and hold them off. Now Clip over the top, looks for 9, but he says no, not gonna happen. He's gonna peek for 1 more, only 8 bullets in the chamber. We'll see if that's gonna be enough to find knock number 2.
Mexi really trying to get that cross angle on to the members of Infantry, but they spot him out, and my word, 9 is dialed in right now. Those are a couple filthy shots that he's landed here on the members of Team Liquid. I mean, that is as fast as is humanly possible, I feel like, from 9 there with those shots. Just ADSs, it gets right on it, so it's going to be up to Ibiza. 3 frag grenades here for Ibiza. See if he can find some luck with them. Going to get a little bit of damage into 9. Going to go for another one over the hill. Cook it up nice and juicy. Will it land? Nope, Infantry hasn't gone quite that far ahead yet. Probably bounces a little bit further than he'd like off the side of that hill. 1 more grenade here for Ibby. Stun up in his face. Blue as well is trailing behind him. Now it's T1 showed up to the party. Okay, Ibby down, but Adder over the top starts spraying into Infantry. Gets 1 down. Dengche here being shot by Ents once again.
If you want to take down Infantry, you gotta commit 4 teams to it, and down they do go in the end of it. Nice double coming in from out of there, taking down Longsker and Boliang, so Infantry will fall in 10th, but as you said, great hold from them. Infantry, a team that missed out on the last weekly finals. They finally make it here, and they are out there feeling it. A team that's very dangerous to fight up close, and they showed it there, how much it took to be taken down. Gen.g and DA, neither team's been fighting too much in the early game, but now they are forced to take this fight with one another. No space behind them, and you can see a Freak of Freaks up towards the north might have a third-party opportunity should this not come to a close fast.
All right, Anonix has to put some smokes out. DA, yeah, over on the side to their east. And for Gen.g, they had to fight Tianba in there, and I believe they must have won that fight. I'm not sure if they got a ton of help or not. Hard to say for sure. MCG still going to be centered up inside of this church. Afrika Freaks taking that position just to the southeast of it. And I gotta be honest, for the Afrika Freaks, this is going to sound a little weird, but they're pretty lucky in a way that Damwon Kia hasn't been in these weekly finals, because Damwon Kia on Miramar drops right next to Afrika Freaks and has similar rotation ideas. In particular, Damwon Kia would like to take that spot that Afrika Freaks is in. That is they really, really like this spot in circles that are by Cruz de Valle. They like to get up on this hill because you get a lot of information. It's not too brutal to rotate in and out of. But for Afrika Freaks, they're going to be the benefactors of that. And I could talk about Damwon Key all day, but I won't get too into it, Toby.
No, it's that's once you open that box, one of those type of things, right? It's been a weird tournament for them. I think that's the short. We can do the long at another point, but it's been a very strange tournament trying to watch them. We are seeing teams slow it down a little bit. I'm not sure if there were a little tech thing or it was just on the observer side, but we saw them jumping around there a little bit. Things got slowed down for a second. Now we are moving back forward. Seems like teams are back in the action. And this ends fight, again, a fight that you have to expect have to come at some point. Now it does. Diggory initiates it with a good nade thrown forward. Dan-J falls down. Diggory's looking over the top. Can't really find an angle to find down Ada. Alco 5 is down as well, so just one alive right now. 7 kills still. Is a good performance for T1 in here in game number 1. They are one team short of placement points. Yep, there's not going to be any rest on that guy.
No way.
Are you denying points at her this early? That's commitment. That's commitment.
Yeah, he just can't. You just can't do it. It just isn't going to happen. I think you're right. I think he is just going to deny the points. Indeed, T1 realizes there's not much left to do. ENCE wasn't going to have any reason to let them in, and had they gotten around to ENCE by some chance, DA's right there waiting. So honestly, I think that makes some sense. And smashing in to Tixu, but Tixu turns pretty quick there with some help from Diggory, but it's going to be Metrelius getting the first knock here. So some smokes coming out from Tixu trying to obscure the angles of DA, but Diggory flushed out by Smash. There's another night trading between Squeaky and Code Marco for each side respectively. Code Marco down to a sliver of health.
We saw them qualify yesterday. Such a tough one against the Freak of Freaks. We'll see now if they can find the same success that they did against them in a 4v4. Coming up against ENCE. One is flushed already, one is knocked on the other side, and we'll see if Tixu can hold off while the rest is coming in. The push does continue forward. I think DA knows they need to wrap around here in order to make space for themselves, but Tixu finds the first one. Code Marco goes down, but he's going to get traded instantly. In return, nice shooting from Smash takes down Tixu. Rust and Squeaky are both alive on the backside, and you can see here DA, they might want to try and focus the rest. No, not going to happen. Marco falls down. Tixu does as well. And for Gen.g on the south side, they might have a chance to wrap here because the Freak of Freaks, again, not really seeming to want to get a piece of the action.
Yeah, Afrika is playing very, very quiet in this one. The circle's been in the favor of them. MCG comes alive, sitting in that church for quite some time, really feeling like, hey, maybe we should get some points in this. ENCE going to go out in 8th place, but a pretty decent round for ENCE. They had to fight a lot. They third-partied some stuff. I can't take too much away from them in that DA in trouble here. And here comes Afrika. They also are saying, hey, maybe we should get some points with these center circle positions. Going to reach out into the front lines of DA. Merritt taking some damage from Hikari. Going to be packing it back. And Ansi over the side, out-dueled by Smash. Smash is freaking rocking and rolling right now. Loki going to come up and steal that kill, though.
He is a terrifying, terrifying player up close, and he shows it time and time again. I'm surprised to see, other than a little third-party steal, that Gen.g didn't do more to try and force the fight to a Freak of Freaks in that situation. I thought they were gonna, I mean, when they heard the action on the other side, maybe go out and aggress. But then again, as you can see here, it is a tricky play, and if they look to get down the hill in any way, either you have to clear this entire hilltop, or as they do now, start wrapping towards the west. The only issue is, where do you go from here? Smokes are being thrown. Day Trade is straight below them, and they do have multi-circle gaming inside the church area too. In the meantime, Day Trade and DA both pushing towards that limp there. Day Trade now finally does find one. That vehicle's going to be low on HP. Bangs into the wall. Both get out. Fortunately for Loki and PO, they're both alive. Vehicle almost on fire. But Gen.g stays alive for now.
Yeah, I mean, that's about all Gen.g could do in that position at that moment. Akkad gonna try a drive-by, does get smashed there. With that, gonna get the follow-up from his teammate Hikari over the fence. Nice little push, but Akkad gonna pay the price for it. It's Shinboy! We forgot about Shinboy. He's still alive, Toby. All that time ago, Zenith got taken down, and here he is, staking it out. And oh my god, Evil Lee, fantastic shooting, and Shinboy isn't able to steal that. Evil Lee able to clean up his own. Now it's Shinboy under fire himself. EJ, the only one alive for a Freak of Freaks, dives behind the wall, gets there just in time. Tank gonna go down to the combined fire of Loki and PO. Meanwhile, Shinboy has fallen as well for Zenith, but I mean, hey, Shinboy, those are placeable points, and he got in that kill in there.
You cannot complain about that at all. When you lose all your teammates that early in the game and you still manage to find top 6 with kills to it as well, that is a very, very good start to the game for sure. EJ, looking over towards the side. He is a solo player, so he needs to try and hold off Navi as best as he can, and maybe, if fortunate, force them to take the fight towards multi-circle gaming. With this circle, of course, no one's really forced to do anything. So for EJ, I wouldn't expect to see him push forward, but as I say that, he's going aggressive on this. A little surprising to me. He was inside the circle up where he was sitting before. Of course, not really able to dictate much from that position, but ups to back off down the hill. Oh, that nade just a bit too far. Orange throws some flashbang as well. EJ wants to get back up the hill, but I'm not sure they'll allow it. Nope, not gonna happen. Tap finds him, so one more kill going in the favor of Na'Vi, and every team now 3 players up and alive other than gen.g, just down to 2. The plateau is in. The plateau is the dot. We're finishing inside the church for the first game. The game might actually end inside a building. That is a rarity. That is not something we see too often.
I think it's inside the church. I think you're absolutely right.
It's inside the building.
Yeah, I think this is pretty interesting because you can stay on top of this roof, and that means that you can try to farm the kills as people come in, and then when you're on, if somehow someone gets in underneath you, and it comes down to that weird healing battle, we'll get into it if it comes to that. So there's some odd things that could happen when circles finish inside of buildings. PGI.s mountain goating his way up. Na'Vi over on the northern side of the wall, waiting patiently as they are inside the circle. They don't have to move. They don't have anywhere to go. They got to position themselves for that phase 9 situation. PGI.s is up, but now Flash and Nurens have to do the same because they're stuck down. Circle's going to be pushing in their back. Meanwhile, gen.g does have a couple compounds in front of them that they can move to, and then they're going to have to move into, I don't know what to call this outside area by the church, and I don't really have a good one, a fountain area or whatever it may be, but they can push forward, and then Pio is going to be the first man to lead the way.
I think I would call it a courtyard.
Sure.
Isn't that kind of what it is, a courtyard? At least that's what I'm going to go with now. It's up to you if you want to use that one as well. The calm before the storm, guys. It's getting quiet for now. And as you can see, the dot is literally inside the church. As holy as it gets. We'll see who's going to be the victor. Right now, it's Multi-Circle Gaming to try and defend the church with everyone else encroaching from quite literally all angles. We'll see who's going to be the victor once this one comes to an end. And I think, again, this is one of those, once you see the first 1 or 2 knocks come in, all hell will break loose and this will be over. So do not go to the restroom now. Do not go for a drink. This one could be over in a matter of less than just 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, hold tight. It might go explosive, or people might, oddly enough, get inside the building and be able to just kind of wait each other out. We'll see. Daytrade committing a ton of utility to the bell tower. They want to make sure that no one from MCG is able to stay up there. In fact, Lingdu on fire, going to be knocked by the fantastic molly from Nurens. Besto on the side, though, sees Daytrade coming through the smoke. It gets the knock on a Flash. Going to try to get the flush with the grenade. Going to be good. Flash down, 2 left for Daytrade here as Na'Vi working the fence line. They're going to have to make their way through in just a second. Circle going to be on their back. Besto going to be on the closest edge to it. Nurens going to get over that wall. Yes, there's enough smoke there to obscure him still from Navi's view.
Yep, that nade unfortunately not going as far as he wanted to clips the branch of the tree. Summer and Multi-Circle Gaming, defend the church at all costs. They don't want to peek outside anymore. They're saying, you know what, let's just let the guys outside fight. We know it's going to end on the inside, so we'll just sit here, hold tight, and wait for it to come to an end. And as you were saying, if anyone else gets up on the roof now somehow, we might see a heal off in the end of it. Right now, no one seems to want to go inside this church. Multi-Circle Gaming's got it on lockdown. Na'Vi playing one side, gen.g and Daytrade playing the south side. Orange trying to slowly make its way forward. They need to try and wrap around, but here comes the opening. They should be getting into the church at some point soon, but for now, they don't want to.
Yeah, look at this. Evil Lee, so smart, getting up into those rafters. What MCG has done here is taken control of the inside of the church, and they're going to try to lock it down, knowing that the circle's going to end in here, knowing that this is the priority position. Na'Vi on the outside of the walls. gen.g and Daytrade, well, I say that. Loki's going to take Daytrade down. gen.g is having a massive round, start to finish. It has been a lot of fighting for them, and look at Evil Lee.
What is that angle? He's sitting up on the rafters. That is a very, very, very next level position that I don't think many people will be anticipating. I don't think they have a clue that he's up here. We'll see now. Here they go. Na'Vi are inside. gen.g try to make the players feel, but there's nothing they can do when they look up above. 1 player left alive, 2 players left alive for gen.g. They try to make their way inside. 1 goes down, 2 goes down. Lingdu from above finds all of them, and Multi-Circle Gaming stands strong in the church.
Yeah, really good placement there at the end of the game for Multi-Circle Gaming. They get the church early, they lock it down to the very end, and they are going to be your winners here in game number 1 of